what is speaking in tongues? The Greek term glossolalia refers to languages, not a heavenly private prayer language, but a real human language. Acts chapter 2, verse 2. Suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled the whole house where they were sitting. There appeared to them divided tongues as of fire, and one sat on each of them. And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak with other languages, tongues, as the Spirit gave them utterance. I've always wondered if English Bibles always translated the Greek term glossus or glossolalia with the word language, so much of what passes for tongues in charismatic and Pentecostal churches may not have ever happened because historically that's what the church always knew these were. These are human languages. It's clear these are known human languages that the speaker didn't know before. Acts chapter 2, verse 4, the Greek glosses, tongues, and also in Acts chapter 2, verse 8, the people that heard them speaking in tongues say, "How is it that we hear each in our own language in which we were born?" So the people that were listening to the apostles preach were like, wow, they're speaking in our language. And that's the word dialecto. It's a real dialect, a real human language. It is plain what this gift was, the gift of tongues. It was the ability to speak in a human language unknown to the speaker, such that people outside of them who knew the language could understand it. What was the purpose of tongues? In 1 Corinthians 14, verse 22. Therefore, tongues are for a sign, not to those who believe, but to unbelievers. Continuationists interpret this to mean that's someone who believes that people can still speak in tongues today, but they've redefined tongues to be incoherent babbling rather than human languages. But continuationists say speaking in tongues is impressive to unbelievers to witness. But Paul immediately says that's not what he's talking about. The fact that tongues were happening and that the apostles could speak in tongues, it was a sign of judgment on the Jewish people who rejected Christ. Because now, instead of confusing languages to divide people, now God is going to speak to Gentiles in Gentile languages so they can come to Christ. 1 Corinthians 14:23. Therefore, if the whole church comes together in one place and all speak with languages, and there come in those who are uninformed or unbelievers, will they not say that you are out of your mind? So, what does Paul mean when he says that tongues are assigned to unbelievers? Think back to the Tower of Babel. God confused languages at the Tower of Babel. Then God speaks to one man, Abram, in one of those languages, Hebrew. But God promised in Genesis 12:3 that all the families of the earth would be blessed through Abraham's seed, Christ, one day. 1 Corinthians 14:21, Paul cites this Old Testament passage from Isaiah 28:11. For with stammering lips and another tongue he will speak to this people. God sent Israel prophet after prophet, but Israel would not listen. God then speaks to other nations in their own languages, languages other than Hebrew.